Understanding channels is an important part of working with color in digital photography. Today we'll look at how channels work in the Affinity programs from the ground up. So let's jump in. What's up guys, it's Trent and today we're talking about channels in the Affinity programs. Now I'm going to cover the basics of channels that will be useful in all the Affinity programs, including Designer, Photo, and Publisher. Now Affinity Photo has some special channel controls. I'll cover those in a follow-up video, so be sure to subscribe if you want to be notified when that comes out. But my goal for today is really to introduce you to this concept of channels, which appears all throughout the Affinity suite. For example, if you do something like add an adjustment layer that has levels, you'll notice that you have the ability to select different channels here. Additionally, if you add a curves adjustment, you also notice that you have the ability to select channels here. And those are just a few of the places they appear. So if you've been confused by this topic in the past, hopefully by the end of this video you'll understand what channels are and how they work. Now before we jump into channels themselves, I want to give a brief overview of RGB Color, because this is essential for understanding channels. So as you know, RGB stands for red, green, and blue, and this is the most common way we represent color in digital programs. I have the primary colors here of red, green, and blue, and if you've worked with colors before, you'll notice they often appear in this triplet of values. So each of these positions is a channel. Now a number you'll see a lot when you work with colors is 255. And 255 is the maximum value you can have in a byte. A byte can hold 256 values, so you have 0 to 255. It's not critical knowledge, but just know that when you see 255, that's the maximum value. So when you see the color pure red, what you're seeing is a value of 255.00. So full red, 0 green, and 0 blue. Now green has the maximum value in the middle channel. So green is 0 to 55.0. And then blue, of course, is 00 to 55. So these are our primary colors here. Now two other values that are important to know are white and black. So we get white when we put 255 in all the channels, because white is the combination of red, green, and blue in an additive color system. And black is the complete absence of any value in all the channels, so black is 000. Now a situation related to white and black that is important to know is, what makes a color gray? Well, a color is gray when the red, green, and blue values are the same. So I have this example here. You can see we have a dark gray for low values here. As the values get higher, we get a lighter gray. So on the high end, I have 220 all across the board here. But anytime you put the same value in all the channels, you can have some type of gray. And at the extreme ends, you have black and white. Now one final situation that's very useful to know is what happens when you complement the values in the red, green, and blue channels. In other words, if we look at red, we have 255.00. What if we make it 0, 255, 255? Well, this is how we build cyan, magenta, and yellow. So you can see the opposite of red is cyan over here. The opposite of green is magenta, so green is 0, 255.0. Magenta is 255.0, 255. And the opposite of blue is yellow. Now this opposite relationship between the RGB and CMY colors is something you'll see a lot of in this video and just working with colors in general. Now you don't have to know what a color is just by looking at the numbers, but in general I think these colors on the screen here are useful ones to know because they do come up a lot. Now we don't just care about those basic colors, we also care about more complex mixtures of colors. So let's look at how that works. So here I have this orange color and it's 255 red, 151 green, and 43 blue. And I can verify this using the color picker in Affinity Designer. I'll click this option here and I'll drag it over and you can see the color under my cursor. I'll be using this tool a lot in this video. So like we said earlier, we're adding colors to get a result. So this is the sum of the red, green, and blue values here. And this is blue. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a very dark shade of blue. So we've taken this color and we've broken it up into its 3 different channels here. Now when I talk about adding these colors, I mean we literally can add these colors together. Let me copy these squares here. I'll drag them out. And then what I'm going to do over here in the layer stack is I'm going to set their blend mode to add. So let me select the blend mode here. I'll click add. Now watch what happens when I drag these boxes over each other. I start to get the orange there. I'll make it a little bigger. So the common intersection area of all these colors added together is this orange here. So let's hover over it with the color picker. You can see it's 255, 151, 43, which is the same as the value we get over here. And by the way, the blue is adding a very subtle effect there, but it is actually adding some difference. If I zoom in, it's very hard to see, but the blue is contributing some effect to the orange there. So we've just broken up one color, but what happens when we break up an entire image? Well, in that case, we have a situation like this. You can see my original image over here of this apple and lime on a blue table. And what I've done is I've broken it out into the 3 separate channels. So the key thing to understand about these three images is they just contain one type of color. For example, let me hover over the red one. Notice how as I move around, only the red has a value. The green and blue are all 0. I'll hover over the green one. Notice how the green only has a value. The red and blue are 0. And I'll do the same thing for the blue. Only the blue has a value in this image. Now, if you look at these three different channel images, we'll notice that they're showing us different information about the original image. Notice how our apple is very red in the original image. And as you'd expect, the red part of our red channel is very bright. Compare this to the apple in our blue channel. It's almost black. And the reason is if I hover over it with the color picker, you'll see the blue value is just very low. And that's because there's not a lot of blue in the apple. You'll notice a similar thing with the lime in the green channel. It's very bright in the green channel here because our lime is mostly green. So this is how we could split our original image into three different visualizations representing each of the channels. At the end of this video, I'll show you how these channels can be used to create a cool glitch effect. Now, before I showed you adding up the color squares to give you the final result, let's do the same thing with these image squares. So I'll copy them. And what I'll do is I'll set their blend modes to add. So let's set it to add here, add. So I'll turn snapping on, and watch what happens if I drag them over each other. So I'll drag the red over the green. And then I'll drag the blue over. And now we have our original result. So when the channels are broken up like that, when I bring them together, I get that original result. Now, in addition to breaking down a color into red, green, and blue visualizations, we can also break it down into gray visualizations. So on the top, I show you how we broke it down originally into red, green, and blue. What we can also do is convert these to gray. And to do that, we just take the value in the channel and copy it to the other two channels. So for example, my red channel, which had 255 for red, I just put that same value in the green and blue channel. For the green channel, there was 151 in the green column. I just put that same value in the red and blue channels. And I do the same thing with the blue over here. I just put 43 in everything. Now, once again, this isn't too meaningful when you're just looking at a single block of color, so let's look at an image. So let's look at this image again, and the top row is what I showed you before. The bottom row now is the grayscale conversion. So each of these grayscale images represent a channel, and it just took that channel's value and put it into all the other channels. Now, once again, we can look at these images and see that they tell us some important information about the original image. Notice how in the red grayscale image, you see the apple is really bright. That's because if we hover over it, it took those high red values and it just put it in the green and blue channels. So we got a very bright gray value. In some cases, we got pure white. Now let's look at the blue image here. You can see our apple and our lime are practically black. So if I hover over it, very low values in all the channels because that blue value was very low. And the middle image is somewhere in between. Our lime is fairly bright and the apple without much green is darker. So this top row and this bottom row show you two common ways to visualize channel data. So let's further examine this back and forth relationship between the colors that I talked about earlier. And I put this image reference on the side just so you can see the opposites of red, cyan, green, magenta, and blue and yellow. Let's use a curves adjustment and explore how this relationship can be shown. So I have this gray square here, and I'll add a curves adjustment to it here. I'll just click on the adjustments button, and I'll click curves. Now to give a brief review of how curves work, left to right represents our dark to bright values of our image, and up and down represents the dark to bright output values. So when we create a curves graph, by default it doesn't do anything different. It just takes our input and maps it directly to our output. But if I drag a curve up, it's going to make my image lighter. And if I drag it down, it's going to make it darker. Now this option we have with curves is that we can actually do this on a channel basis. So down here you can see the red, green, and blue channels. But for now, let's look at the red channel. So I'll click red. So if I move the red curve up, our square turns more red. Probably not surprising, but let's hover over it with the color picker and see what's actually happening. So you can see I moved my red value up to 229, but my green and blue are still locked at 120. So the green and blue didn't change at all. So when we raise the red up and keep the green and blue the same, we're going to get some shade of red. Let's move it down and see what happens now. So when I cross that threshold, what starts to happen? We start to get more of a cyan color. And this goes with what we noticed over here. Reducing red is going to make the cyan appear stronger. And if I hover over the color picker, notice I reduced the red to 0 and the green and blue are still at 120. That's because when I just used the red channel here, my green and blue values are locked. Let's reset this. So let's look at green. I'm on the green channel now. If I dial up the green value, my square starts to turn green. And if I hover over it, notice that the red and blue are locked at 120 and the green is 194. I can pull it down and we start to get a magenta there. Let's look at the blue real quick. Blue. So I can dial up the blue that way. And if I pull down the blue, I start to get more of a yellow. And I'll show you the color picker one more time. When I dial down the blue, my red and green are still at 120, the original color, and the blue is 18. So now let's do this with an image. This is a grayscale image here. And that means if I hover over it, you're going to see that the red, green, and blue values are always the same across the board. So in the white areas, it's 242 here. Somewhere in the gray, it's 38 everywhere. Somewhere else, maybe it's 113. But it's always going to be the same in all the channels. So that's the definition of a grayscale image. I'll add a curve to it. And once again, just the default state, I can make it bright or I can make it dark. But let's look at it on a channel basis. So I'll choose red. And I can dial up the red here. Now as I go through my image, the red value is always going to be a little bit higher than the green and the blue. We can see that in the dark area here. The red is 73 and the green and blue are 38. And we can see that in the bright area. The red is 252 and the green and blue are 242. I'll reset this. Now one interesting thing we can do with this adjustment is make an S-curve. So an S-curve is when you increase one part of the graph and decrease another. So I'll do it really extreme. So let's look at a bright part. I can see here the red is actually 243, which is more than the green and blue. If I go to a darker part, I can see the red is less than the green and the blue. So that shows the effect this curve here was having. On the brighter parts, I was increasing the red, and on the darker parts, I was decreasing the red, giving me cyan. And finally, let's use a full color picture. So I'll select my image here. I'll use the adjustment, curves. And just a reminder, this is what happens with the default setting of master, up and down. Let's reset. So let's go to the red channel. So if I wanted to make this image look warmer, I could actually increase the red value a little bit. And you can see it's starting to look more red. Or I can make it look cooler and I can drag the red down. So now it's starting to have more of a cyan effect to it. Now earlier I showed you some images that were broken up into their different color channels. How do we actually do that? Well, there are several ways to do it, but one way is to use the channel mixer adjustment. And I think playing with this tool is a good way to understand more about how channels actually work together. So I have this image here, and on the left I have my desired result. I want to split it up into 3 different images, one red, one green, one blue, representing their respective channels. So let me copy this image here, and I'll call this one red. I'll move my original out of the way. So right now I just want to get this red image. So let me add the channel mixer adjustment. So I'll click the adjustments here, and I'll click channel mixer. Now what this tool does is it lets you put the value of one channel into another channel. Now it may seem kind of pointless at first, but I'll show you some examples of how we can use it. So when we first add this adjustment, it's having no effect. Let's understand why it's actually having no effect. First, we can choose what channel we want to work on. So I have the red channel selected. And what this tool is saying by default is for the red channel, just use 100% of the existing red value and use 0% of the green and blue values. So that means the red channel isn't being changed at all. If I go to the green channel, you can see it looks pretty similar. Use 100% of the green value in that channel and ignore the red and blue. Similarly with the blue, we see 100% blue, 0% red and green. Now just to remind you of what our image looks like over here, if I hover over it, notice how the red channel has its original value, but the green and blue channels all have 0 everywhere. So what does this mean we want to do? Well, it means we just want to eliminate the green and blue values. So on my red channel, I don't want to make any change. I'm happy with the red value at 100%. I'll go to the green channel. Now I want the green to be gone, so I'm going to make the green 0. And we have this result here because we still need to make one more change. Let's go to the blue channel. And I want 0% blue, so I'll type 0, enter, and we get our red image here. So if I hover over my image everywhere, I just have red values. The green and blue are 0. So this one's all set. Let's do the same thing for green. I'll call this copy green. I'll add the channel mixer adjustment to it. Now for the green one, what I want to do is make the red and blue 0. So I'll make the red 0. I'm on the red channel. Green channel, I don't want to make any change. I want it to be 100%. So I'll go to blue. I'll make blue 0. So now I have our green image. And now let's do one for blue. So I'll add the mixer for that. No red. And no green. And blue we just keep the same. So that's how you can take this image and break it down into the 3 channels. And once again, if I select these results, if I set their blend mode to add, when I drag them over each other, I get my original result. Now the other way of doing channel visualization was through grayscale images. So on the left I have the desired result in this case. How could we actually break down this image to get these results here? Well, once again we can use the channel mixer. So let me make a copy of this layer. I'll call it red-gray. So remember what we want to do for this first case. We want to copy the red values to the green and blue channels. So let's add a channel mixer. So the red channel is fine. I'll just keep that at 100%. Let's go to the green. Now in the green channel, I don't want any of the green value to be used. But what I want is 100% of the red value to be used. So what I'm doing here is I'm in the green channel and I'm replacing it with the red value. Let's go to the blue channel. I don't want any blue, but I want 100% of the red value. So just to review, our red channel stays the same at 100%. Our green channel gets 100% of the red, no more green. And our blue channel gets 100% of the red, no more blue. Now you can see we have our grayscale representation of the red channel. Let's create a green version now. So I made a copy here. I'll add the channel mixer. Now for this one in the red channel, I want no red. And I want to replace it with the green value. In the green channel, that's fine, just 100% green, keep it the same. Let's go to blue. I want no blue. And I want to replace it with 100% of the green value. So now we have our green grayscale version. And finally, let's do blue. So I created the blue copy, channel mixer. In the red, we want no red, but we want 100% of the blue. In the green, no green, 100% of the blue. And our blue channel is fine, just 100% of the blue. So in this case, we saw how we could use the channel mixer to break down the image into grayscale representations of our channels. Now there are many different uses of channels, but one thing I think is kind of a fun example is to create a glitch effect. You may have seen this with retro graphics where they look kind of like they distorted the image a little bit, like you're looking through a bad old TV or something like that. And a lot of these effects are done with channels. And in fact, a lot of special effects you'll see tutorials for on YouTube are done with channels and channel operations. So let's see how we can work with this image here. I have this robot and I want to break it down into its red, green, and blue channels. And I want to kind of give it a little glitchy look and put it inside this TV here. So first, let's get red, green, and blue versions of the robot. So I can create a red version. And I'll just do that with the channel mixer like I did before. So I'll keep the red. For the green, I'll go to 0. And for the blue, I'll go to 0. This is the same process I did in one of the other demos. Let's make this one green, so red will be 0. And blue will be 0. Let's create a blue version of our robot. No red, no green. So now what I'll do for these 3 images, I'll give them the add blend mode once again. So add. And now when I drag them over each other, I get my original image. But what I like to do is take the images and slightly offset them. So if I grab this top one here, the red one, let me drag it slightly to the side. And you can see you get this interesting effect going here. You can see the red and the cyan over here. Let me grab the green layer. I'll move that a little bit. You can experiment to see which way looks the best. So it looks like this is some kind of old distorted video footage. At this level you can see the different effects. This one on the left is pure black and white. This one on the right has kind of that little fringing effect. We got those little cyans and magentas going on. And like I said, you can experiment with this and see which the best offset is to create the effect you're going for. So I got a TV mock-up over here. It's just an image and then a curve representing the screen. Let me take my robot. I'll put him in the TV. I'll change the blend mode to normal for the group. Maybe I'll give the TV even a little bit of a glow here. So here I have my glitchy robot in my old school TV here, and you can see this effect was just done with channels. Now Affinity Photo has a whole panel for controlling channels. I'll be releasing a follow-up video showing how this tool works, so be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to be notified when that comes out. And of course, if you have any questions on this video, feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.